Ciao, welcome back. If you are returning, welcome. If you are new, I'm Zoe. This is Divinity Within Me. And today I'm coming at you with like another perspective, right? So actually, I'm just literally shooting this from a different perspective. So I like to play on puns and I thought that was funny. But we're going to talk about something a little bit different today. Like, normally we're always discussing like direct spirituality, the cards, um, astrology, planetary things. And today, I kind of decided as like a shift for this year, I want to do at least once a month, I want to bring up a topic that is relevant to what's going on planetarily wise, to where we can use these things that I always talk about, but in a really physical space, like not on an emotional or spiritual level, but on a physical space. So today we're talking a little bit about the psychology of thought, or the psychological effects of how our thoughts project and create things for us. So, as many of you guys know, the Gregorian New Year starts on January 1st. And this is when Capricorn is Capricorn has just entered. Normally we're like, yeah, the beginning of the year, let's start things anew. So the energy of Capricorn definitely pushes that forward, that I want to do stuff. However, in astrology speaking, the new year or the top of the astrological calendar would be in March. It'd be towards the end of March, actually, the end of Pisces and the beginning of Aries. And this would also be kind of like the same time as the spring solstice, right? This would be the beginning. So interesting. So what I want to talk about is the psychology of thought, of our thoughts. And why do I want to talk about this? Because this year, normally January, we start off in Capricorn, we're ready, we're really motivated. But this year we actually started off with Mercury in retrograde. Oh my God, yes, I'm talking about Mercury in retrograde. Why? Because Mercury is a very close planet to us, so we are just feeling more of the effects of this planet going in retrograde than a lot of the other ones. We do feel the effects of the other ones. They're just a little bit more subtle, right? It's not as intense. It takes them longer to transit. They're not moving as fastly and abruptly. They don't have to be so loud with something to say. So it's a little bit different, right? So anyways, knowing that we started this year with Mercury in retrograde, it wasn't the year to start new things. It wasn't like, this year I'm going to start every day doing this. I'm going to start this new regimen or this new routine or this thing. Actually, this was the worst thing. If you tune in with my other videos, like the full moon or the new moon video, you'll hear me talking about this and about how it's not a good time for new resolutions. It's actually the time to complete unfinished business, to resolve, to revisit and resolve, reevaluate, but conclude things that haven't happened for an extended amount of time previously. And that's really what the energy is. And that is what Mercury retrograde is. It's about going back to past things, revisiting. So what have we not finished, and I have a whole list of things that I know what I'm finishing and I'm completing in this time. Knock on wood. And, I feel really grateful for it because it's stuff that it's like I've been giving it pushes and it just doesn't seem to happen. But now is like this beautiful time planetarily, astrologically wise, to actually do this. So the psychology of thought, not to get off track, you guys, it's all pertinent, right? So the psychology of thought is we end up in the beginning of the year. This is the reason why I'm talking about this. We always end up in the beginning of the year creating these crazy, unrealistic expectations, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna shoot for the stars. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna do it. We're really gonna do it this year, and I'm gonna follow through. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Please, no. Take motivation and drive and push in whatever form that you can receive it, and that it motivates you, and use it 100%, always. What I'm saying is, our thoughts create our circumstance, our reality, everything, right? And if we start to think like thoughts of fear, then like more scary stuff starts happening around us. If we start to think thoughts of negativity, more negativity. If we start to think this, all these things are coming. If we're always thinking, more positively, like the outcome, always projecting this better thought or this better outcome, then that's what we're going to receive. So the psychology of thought is, we always at the beginning of the year give ourselves these unreal expectations. And then what happens is, we're now about 2 weeks into the new year, which is, I wanted to actually do this video last week, and then I decided I'm going to wait another week, because by this point, you're either like, yeah, you're kind of into the groove of a routine, or you've already missed a couple of days, or you haven't really even put the effort forward yet, and you're feeling defeated. Am I right? Can I get a heart or a thumbs up or whatever, like in the comments, if this is something that you are experiencing? Because I've had a lot of different people come to me and say the same things. Like, yeah, I want to do this, and I gave myself all these New Year's resolutions and all of this stuff, and I'm not feeling the motivation to do it, or, it's just, I start getting on myself when I don't do it. And so here's what happens. We create these big expectations. So I studied a lot of years of psychology and sociology and things like this. And so I realized, when we rewire, when we reprogram our brains, when we reprogram thoughts, memories, like when we're reprogramming trauma and other things like this, it's a similar programming of the brain. So what works really well, like when you work with kids that are in grade school or something like this, positive reinforcement, incentive always works. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're a little kid, baby, a toddler, or an adult, like old person. If there's an incentive, like if you feel like you're gonna get a golden star or a pat on the back or something, like some type of actual reward out of doing something, then you're gonna do it, right? It's just like, it's a psychological thing, right? It's maybe like human nature, ego, whatever you want to call it. But when we do something and it makes us feel good, like we want to do more. So how can we achieve creating these routines and these things, right? In the physical form. And the truth is actually, again, with our thoughts, with our writing, right? Our words, our spells, our words, our thoughts, these words, everything becomes the reality. So what I did, and I've been finding it really, really successful, and is why I want to actually share it. And it makes a lot of sense with the amount of psychology that I've studied. So instead of giving yourself like unrealistic expectations, right? Like I gave myself, like, let's say you're only going to give yourself 5 minutes or 10 minutes of something a day. What I did is I actually made like a kind of like a calendar type page, right? And I gave myself a key, and I gave myself 14 things. Now, more than half of the things are things that I do pretty much every day. They're just basic things we need to do every day. Sometimes I don't do them every day, and we're all guilty of maybe like taking off, or like staying in and being too lazy, or just like not doing all of the things you could in a day. But this is part of like changing my program of not feeling guilty to rest or to take a moment, because I've always had to be like this in life. So what I decided to do is the things that I'm already have been doing for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, right? I changed it to like 23 minutes. We're in the year 23. And I think like that's a reasonable amount of time for things that I do every day, like meditation, like breathing, stretching, like maybe some acrobatics, creativity, work with your business, different things, just things like even preparing food. And it's basically a basic list of stuff that I'm going to do every day. Maybe if I'm not watching it or I'm not checking a box every day, putting a little star or whatever works for you. But like maybe if I'm not doing that, I'm only doing these things like 3 or 4 times a week instead of actually really like setting the regimen in. And the way that our minds work is the way the psychology works is when we accomplish something, like let's say you want to start a meditation practice, instead of being like, I'm going to sit for 20 minutes a day and meditate, give yourself 5 minutes. That way, if at any point in the day you have 5 extra minutes, you can just take the time to breathe and get in that space. Just doing it, just starting it, right? At the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, 5 minutes doesn't seem unachievable. Then if you didn't do it yesterday, it's really easy to pick up again today because it's only 5 minutes. And it's really easy to hold yourself accountable. Accountability buddies are great, but we don't always have them. And what's really important that is in the ability to come together as a community and to co-create is that we're each individually responsible, right? Radical self, right? This is about how can we each take care and do exactly what we need for ourselves. So I would encourage you guys, don't make unrealistic expectations, especially right now. I think we just had something beautiful happen. I think today is the 12th. It's actually Friday the 13th where I live. Boop, boop, boop. But I feel really great. It's a really great day. Why? Because yesterday I had a really productive day. Finally, it felt really great. And, Mars finally went direct yesterday. So this is the planet of self-awareness, of action, of ego, of I'm ready. It's about me. So in not being selfish, but in doing your own personal work, do the work, right? Stop worrying about everybody else. The more you worry about yourself, the more you're actively caring for the rest of the collective. And, that's what's really important. I mean, I even put on my box, like drink the infused water or the lemon infused water, whatever, like the first thing each day, like make sure you're doing this, make sure you're prepping, make sure you're stretching, just basic things you should be doing. Like, oh yeah, I do that. But when you really sit down, how many days a week do you really do these things? So the psychology of thought is, if you want to create better habits and better repetition, it starts with better thought. And how we trick our brains is by giving ourselves a little pat on the back, a little gold star. Because when we are accomplishing small feats, it makes it really easy for us to take on the next thing, and the bigger and the bigger and the bigger. And and it just creates this really beautiful thing. So you guys, make sure this time you're not starting too many new projects. Don't be too hard on yourselves. Make small, goals that are easy to achieve. Because then, for instance, if it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and then you want to sit and meditate for 25 minutes or 30 minutes, and you can still sit there and do that, then it's really easy to add on. But once we don't do it, then it's like we create this thing in our mind, like I've already failed at it, And this is the psychology of thought, and how it plays an active role on our depression, on our mental health, on our physical being and scenarios. So yeah, let's use the information that we know and that we understand to be an active participant in our healing and in our awareness and our consciousness and everything that we do. And create these new, if we want to actually create these new habits and these new repetitions, like everybody does, New Year's goal, then do it by giving it a really, like, lower your standards, I guess, but like set a lower, like, when you create expectations, first of all, it fucks your brain. But if you just make small achievable things, then if you cross those out and you do more or you build on it, then you're going to feel like, yes, like you are a giant accomplishing everything on top of the world. And that's what's creating more of the dopamine. That's what is powering us, inspiring us, and actually pushing us forward to achieve those results. Otherwise, when we work really hard and we only get this one thing, it's like it's like too much sugar for me, like I'm hypoglycemic. It's like it's like a sugar rush, and then all of a sudden, or like if you have too much caffeine and then you have that drop and you're like, let's figure out how to use the balance. Let's figure out how to use what's going on and what we can do each month to help ourselves to take better steps, to create better habits, repetition, thought, and just be more active for ourselves and more conscious for the collective, so we can help raise the collective frequency, the vibration together. Because we are co-creating, believe it or not. And so the best way and the best thing that we can do is to first know exactly who we are and how to create and what we're creating. Yeah. Be at balance. And just really be like stoked on ourselves and everything we're doing. Who cares? If you don't remember to brush your teeth every day, put that box on there. I brush my teeth for morning and night, or whatever it is, right? Like sometimes I don't want to prepare myself food. Like I feel like, oh, I'm only one person. It seems like so much effort. I put that on my, you need to spend at least this much time. So, okay, like now I just balance everything out when I make my infused waters and stuff. Like this is also prep time. So if I'm not particularly feeling like I want to eat or have a big meal that day, I'm still taking the time to infuse love into something I'm going to be intaking to nourish myself. Why? Because this is important to me. And I want to make sure that even though, yeah, this is something I mostly do every day, that I'm being more cognitive, and keeping myself accountable, right? Personal self-accountability for it. So little goals, 5-minute things, maybe it's like go for a walk around the block, go for a walk for 5 minutes, walk your dog for 5 minutes, call somebody you haven't checked in with for 5, whatever it is. But start small, and you will see. And now that Mars has finally gone direct, now we can finally start to do these things, right? We can finally start to think about the things that we actually want. Like now is the time to kind of think and process and figure out everything we want and conclude, right? And on the 18th, I believe, which is Wednesday, Mercury will finally go direct. So yeah, as we begin to enter Aquarius, we'll still be feeling a little bit of the Mercury retrograde, but we can actually be really feeling this motivational push. You guys are probably already feeling it from Aries. But yeah, I'm going to share with you 3 cards that I pulled today when I was cleaning my space. Sanat Kumara, light activation, shine your light. Your internal guidance is coming through loud and clear. Saint Germain, karma is releasing. Move beyond drama, create your own path, make room for good energy. So instead of beating yourself up, give yourself things, small celebrations daily. Like it's the best way. It is psychology of thought. It's how we change things is by changing the way that we perceive them. And if we're so programmed. The only way we can do it is by doing little things like this to slowly reprogram. Because we can't wipe the whole disc, right? The Holy Spirit, expect miracles. Remember that only love is real. Miracles will occur naturally. Spirit has your back. So this message specifically is telling me for a lot of people that are wondering what comes next, what's going to happen. They're telling me trust, and let go. Let go of the karma releasing. Stop telling yourself, and that's how we create these bad thought patterns. Is I can never follow through on this, or every year I try to start this new routine, or and we just have to kind of break this patterning a little bit at a time by letting it go and by really just focusing on the little things that we can achieve every day. Simple. Each day. It helps us to be more present than like creating these good, crazy goals or large expectations that we're like, oh, the date is approaching, and we start to freak out. And if we have anxiety or depression or panic attacks, anything like this, it's going to start to create this other feeling. And the thought psychologically begins to affect us on a physical, mental level. So release it, activate, be present. Yeah, have goals, have big dreams, have an outlook if you like for sure. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying the psychology of thought. If you want to trick your mind, if you ever get anxiety, if you've ever struggled from depression or severe PTSD or anything like that, it's just about small bits of reprogramming, and this is how we make it happen. Anyways, this is Zoe. I will put the information if you want to schedule a private session or reading. Tune in with me. All the information will be in the information box below. Stay tuned. We have a new moon slowly approaching. I think after Mercury goes direct. So yeah, new energies. Let's figure out everything what we need to complete in this cycle. And yeah, don't stress out on starting too many new things right now, or why you're not able to. It's just not the time. It really isn't. There's not going to be a successful return on the things that we do right now. It's unless they're things that's unfinished business that we're completing. So if you have any debts, owe anybody, there's somebody you need to talk to, somebody you need to apologize to, someone that's getting old, whatever, whatever it is, like now is the time to attend to it. Really, it's the opening time. People are willing to communicate, to hear. So yeah, use this knowledge, use this information, and yeah, program your brain. Use a different perspective. Use the psychology of the brain to get your sensory flowing. To keep your dopamine, your adrenaline, your these things that we need to keep us happy. Yeah, let's keep them pumped up. And actually, after talking about this, I think I'm gonna even try to find, I know it's not really conscious, but try to find some type of little stickers or something to put on my thing every day. Yeah. That way when I do all of the tasks every day, I can get that freaking gold star or whatever. I don't know if you guys used to get those in school, but those were the jam, you wanted that. One of those stickers. I really like the blue one, even though I don't really know what value it was, but anyways, drop a star. Drop a star below if you love the star point system in school. If you know what I'm talking about, if you're old enough for that even. Anyways, as always, infinite blessings, love, and light, you guys. Thank you for all your constant love and support. Like, comment, subscribe, share with somebody else that can use the information. Yeah, that's how we co-create, is by sharing the love and the knowledge. You guys have a beautiful one. Ciao for meow.